yeah, that was a commercial break because I was filming in ultra high definition, which probably don't need to do. Probably cruel on the viewer actually to see my face in ultra high definition. Yeah, so I got up to the 90s and I had it was a specialised rock opera sport. Yeah, so I wasn't really like during that time, my early 20s and stuff. How can I say it? I wasn't really doing a great deal of physical sport or anything like that was good for me. I was mostly doing things that was bad for me. Uh, so I wasn't, I wasn't cycling regularly or anything like that. So then I met my wife. Well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but we had a relationship for 7 years and we got married. So, and still a bit of cycling going on, but certainly nothing serious. Excuse me. And then you get into your 30s and the inevitable spreading out and wrinkling up and all that good shit. And you're trying to constantly reset yourself and get back to what you were when you were in your 20s, which of course is impossible. It's something you have to come to terms with. And so I'm going on much longer than I meant to, but I've never been that good at condensing things. So yeah, I then had kids, had 4 kids, and then kids get to a certain age and they want to ride bikes, so that was an excuse to get back into bikes again. But yeah, none of the kids really sort of felt they did at first, but as soon as fucking Fortnite turned up, that was it. You've lost them. They're gone. And YouTube shorts and all the other brain heroin, visual heroin for kids. It's absolutely disgusting. I heard this. I don't know if it's true or not, but it sounds true. That people who manufacture games and all the other things to snare young minds actually use psychologists to help with honing their products so as to ensnare young minds, probably using the techniques of Edward Bernays and that other scumbags that have used those, basically psyops against populations, because nobody likes to think how simplistic we are, but in some ways we really are. We can be led so easily by bad actors. And so yeah, when your kids get to a certain age, they get exposed to these things. You're made to feel like a pariah if you try and stop them from playing games or watching videos and having full access to the internet at all times. You are made to feel like you are the one who is out of step with reality and society. And, you'd have to be a very strong person indeed, stronger than I am, to put yourself in that position where your kids are being bullied. Because, our kids got bullied because we didn't ever let them eat McDonald's or any other fast food. We at least carried that on. And our kids are coming home feeling like there's something wrong with them because every other kid has, McDonald's every week or whatever. So, yeah, it's difficult. The only, yeah, it's probably not difficult if you. It's probably easier to talk about how to bring up kids than it is to actually bring up kids in this day and age. But anyway, back to cycling. Yeah, so I did lots of things. I got pretty large and overweight at one point. And, for somebody who in the past, I haven't talked completely about my past, but I have been very physically active in the past. And once you've been like that, it's very difficult to look at yourself in the mirror and go, oh dear. You know, you've kind of let yourself go quite a lot. And I'm, you know, I'm not in like perfect physical condition at this moment in time, but I'm trying, and you always have to keep trying and be honest with yourself. And I guess from there, because I don't want to like give me, you know, everything in one video. So really, I want to talk about what kind of cyclist are you? Now, before I say that, you can ask yourself that question after what I've told you. As I've said already, I drive a lot of big vehicles. I drive pretty much as a profession and have done for years. You know, before COVID, I had a chauffeur business that went on for 10 years. And before that, I've always been a keen driver, and obviously as well cyclist much of that time. And last year, was it year before? No, 2 years ago, I was driving a tanker, a fully loaded tanker. So what's that, 44 tons or something. And I was going down a country lane because I was going to, this tanker was full of what they call black gold or something, which is kind of weird because gold is a colour. But it's also, anyway, it's worth a lot. It's all the shit that they make biogas from. So loads of shit comes in, not just shit, but old food, fucking anything that rots. It's all put in a big tank. It gasses up, the gas is extracted, drives turbines, and we get electricity. It's lovely. But there's like a residual black liquid. And this black liquid is full of nutrients and all good things for making plants grow. And so my job at the time was to fill up a tanker with this black liquid and then drive it to a farmer's lagoon that he'd built and then blast it into the lagoon. And then farmer comes along with his tractor and a big sucker and sucks all of the, not all of it, but, you know, fills up his tank and then sprays it across fields and it grows food and we all like have chips or whatever. And carrots. And so I was doing that. And so quite often you go into farms, so you're going down little country lanes in a fucking big truck with a big tanker on the back. And I on this often came up, I would sometimes be in the way of some vehicles, sometimes vehicles be in the way of me. And there was 2 cyclists on this particular day in front of me. And I had about two miles to go, maybe 3 miles, 2.5, 2.2 miles, whatever, to get to my destination farm. And there was 2 guys on bikes, and they were quite clearly proper cyclists. They had matching shorts, tops, decent helmets. The bikes, I think one was a Colnago and one was a Pinarello. So, you know, they've spent a lot of money on the bikes and they're keen cyclists. And cycling next to each other, chatting away. Like this. And you know, the road's very narrow. And there's no fucking way on earth that I'm going to get down beside, you know, next to them and overtake. And there's no way, unless they're both audio impaired, that they don't know that I'm there. No fucking way. They know I'm there. So, but they don't move over. They don't move over at all. If they'd gone single file, I could just get past dead easy. But they don't. So do you know what I do? No. I don't know what you'd do. But I didn't get angry. Because what's the point? I just followed on behind them until eventually, after, and I'm not joking here, also there was quite a few cars behind me at this point, and some of them were trying to get past. which would have been, you know, because they can't see the two cyclists. They don't know why I'm like coasting up the road at 5 miles an hour. And so I had to, the slight gap that was at the side of the road to my right, I closed it with the lorry so that nobody would overtake, because they would overtake at, like, you know, very, very fast speed, potentially pull back in again across my front and hit these fellow cyclists. And so they're completely unaware of this. They're completely unaware that I'm now protecting them from themselves. And you know, and they're probably saying, I find that cycling magazines and online magazines and cyclists in general, they pretty, you know, they seem to be quite glassy-eyed and enthusiastic about proving a point that it's legal to ride two abreast. And it is legal. But just because something's legal, does that mean you should do it at all times with no questioning and no thought about it? It's advisory. I mean, it's like a lot of country roads are 60-mile-an-hour roads. But does that mean you should travel down them at 60 miles an hour at a constant speed, no matter what? Hairpins, blind bends, you know, whatever. Some people do think that. A lot of people do. And, that, you know, they're a danger when you're on a bike, because they'll come around the corner in the middle of the road going 60 mile an hour, and you just like wince and fucking hope that they don't hit you. I make no apologies for swearing. It's, you know, you have to be prepared for the diverse way in which different people communicate. And if you don't like diversity, switch off. So anyway, going back to the story. So eventually these two guys turn left and disappear off down some road. And I don't know, a minute later, get to the farm where I have to pull into. And I have to go all the way right so that I can make the arc into the gateway so that my trailer wheels don't smash through the gatepost. And so I do that, and as I'm doing it, about 4 cars like hurtle off past me. As soon as I've got space, the first one, Range Rover driver, he's actually on the grass to overtake me, nearly hits the trailer, beeping his horn, heard him shout something out the window, and the other 3 cars behind him, they all like tear off as well, as fast as they can down the road, because they're so angry because they've been behind this lorry and they didn't see the 2 cyclists that who were in front of me cycling 2 abreast. And you know, so they're angry now, and they're driving off angry. And you know, and when people are angry, they drive more aggressively than usual, and so they're a danger to themselves and others. And all because 2 guys on bikes, nice bikes, couldn't just go like that on a small but very busy rural road, just for a few seconds, just so I could get past. So the drivers behind me, they couldn't see a thing, and they didn't know there was 2 cyclists. They probably just thought, oh, this big stupid hairy arse lorry driver can't find where he's going, so he's driving really, really slowly and stopping me from getting to the shops or some other very important thing that they were doing. And so yeah, it was a bad situation. And weirdly, yesterday when I was out riding, I was coming around a series of bends, and they're sort of slightly downhill, so I'm travelling quite fast, but I always stay into the left hand side as much as I possibly can, with, you know, potholes and bottles that people seem to like throwing out windows these days. And 3 cyclists came the other way, all younger than me, and they were 3 abreast. I mean, they literally covered the whole road. And they had a good, I don't know, 20, 25 seconds before we got up to each other. And I waved and said hello. And the one who was right in the middle of the road, he looked at me as if I was something that he just scraped off his shoe. You know, obviously an older guy. I wear a mountain bike helmet because it offers the greatest protection. And when you've had a concussion, you value protection over form. You know, it's a style thing that would make you put a small helmet on. Anyway, yeah, so if I'd been a Tesla coming around there silently, very fast, I'd have fucking wiped them all out because I wouldn't have possibly had time to stop, or they would have like all, you know, done this to me. And you know, you have to ask yourself, what kind of cyclist are you? Twice yesterday, I pulled over because there was a tractor coming the other way, and they're growing food for me and my family and yours, and I just moved out of the way. Simple. Rather than trying to squeeze down a gap or forcing them to stop just because it was my right of way, just move out of the way. Move out of the way. Let them go. It's no big deal. You're not in the Tour de France or any other sort of race. Other races are available. You just move out of the way. Let them go. What kind of cyclist are you? How do you want to be perceived by others? Do you want to improve things, relationships between motorists and cyclists, or do you want to like antagonise things and make it worse? I'm both. I mean, I believe that people who ride bikes badly probably drive cars badly. Other vehicles are available, but I think it's a personality type. I don't think it's a mode of transport type that makes people act one way or another. There's variations in that. When people get into very fast vehicles, they tend to drive, or some tend to drive fast and stupidly. And sometimes people who get into gigantic vehicles think that they're somehow the king of the road and all must bow before them. There's that as well, yeah. But you know, I go out there, you go out there probably if you're watching this, and we share the road. We share the road with others, and we have to figure out what kind of person do we want to be part of the problem, or do we want to be part of the solution? The solution is everybody just chill the fuck out and start acting like human beings instead of like some lunatic. You know, I'm on the road every day in a crane, and I see terrible lorry drivers. Not that many, to be honest, but they do exist. I see a lot of terrible car drivers, but then they are the most numerous vehicle on the road, so you're bound to, you know, they're overrepresented. So there's going to be the percentage of dickheads in any form of transport is going to be the same percentage. But if there are more of that particular vehicle, then there's going to be more dickheads numerically superior. You know, and then there's motorcyclists. You know, you can well, you can't actually. I was going to say the type of bike will dictate the type of rider, but that's not true. They, you know, most motorcyclists don't ride very often, and then when they do, most motorbikes are now ridiculously fast. I know this because I'm a motorcyclist. They're faster than they possibly need to be, and louder quite often. And again, they antagonise people. And then the next time they see a motorcyclist tottering around a wet, greasy island, they'll drive right up their arse and intimidate them because, You know, 2 years ago, a motorbike went past them really fast when they had the window open one summer, and it scared the living shit out of them. You know, and then the media, they have a lot to do with this. Certain publications, even cycling publications, they have antagonistic pieces all the time about one thing or another, you know, about car drivers parking, or, you know, non-cycling publications will bang on about like what dickhead cyclists are, but, you know, usually it's a London-centric thing, and, you know, that's, you can't judge anything by London, because London's just a cesspit where everybody's mad, and so when everybody's mad, they act in a mad way. So you can't really judge drivers or cyclists or anybody from a London perspective. It's like just a kingdom of the insane, London is. And I know, because when I was a chauffeur, I used to drive around there pretty much 2 or 3 times a week, and I fucking hated it. It's a shithole. I don't care what anybody says. It's just nasty. Most cities are, to be fair. Most cities are pretty awful. They just, you know, you're kettling people, and when you do that, people, you don't get the best behaviour when you kettle people. So yeah, bit of a rant, but, you know, it's true. And then I guess one of the things that really bothers me, that I've seen recently, and I've talked about this probably a few times in other videos, is the whole, and it shouldn't be a debate, but the whole idea of helmets on bikes. I mean, I can't believe that somebody like what's his name, Chris Boardman, is like anti-helmet. And, you know, the idea is that if you are on a bike and you wear a helmet, like a lunatic driver will go, oh, I could quite safely knock him off and he'll be fine because he's got a helmet on. A very, very strange point of view, that is. Yeah, there's going to be people who do think that, but I really do think they're in the minority. The fact is that most drivers are shit. They've passed a test years ago, and from that day forth, they have driven how they want, and there's nobody to stop them driving badly, because you know, driving skill is no longer something that's, you know, socially promoted. You know, speed is promoted, looking cool is promoted, but actual driving prowess, you know, so that you have like really good predictive skills. You know, you see a situation, you know, you predict what's going to happen, so you act accordingly, and all that. That's none of that roadcraft is deemed desirable anymore. So it's just bizarre that people would come up with the conclusion that, you know, wearing a helmet antagonises drivers. I don't know if this will be an imperfect analogy, but, you know, I work on building sites a lot of the time, and, you know, you wear steel boots and hard hats and gloves, and, you know what, I don't think anybody's antagonised into like hurting you because you're wearing protective gear. And the basic fact is that, I don't know what the percentages would be, but it's certainly not, the only danger facing cyclists is not from motorists or lorry drivers, or, you know, that kind of thing. You could hit a pothole, of which there are many these days, thanks to successive non-caring governments who don't seem to give a shit about infrastructure unless it's building some fucking big stupid train line that nobody cares about. You know, something could run out in front of you. You could get a mechanical failure. there's lots of things that could happen which could bring your head to be hitting the ground, other than an aggressive driver. So I see it's become quite fashionable now amongst cyclists to not wear a helmet. You know, and you can tell you can spot a fashionable cyclist a million miles away. Obviously for road cyclists, the vast majority of them wear helmets because it's a fashion thing. You know, because the pros wear helmets, they wear helmets. You can guarantee that if the pros stopped wearing helmets, they would stop wearing helmets. Meh. But, you know, it's become like a bit sort of gauche, a bit unusual. You know, oh, Chris Boardman, he says don't wear a helmet, and various other people say don't wear helmets. The study, whatever the study was, in fucking Denmark or something. I don't really give a shit where the study happened. All I do know is that I was riding along quite fast. A dog ran out in front of me. I couldn't stop. And I've got really good reactions and good predictive skills, and I couldn't have predicted that a fucking 9-stone cane courser was going to run out in front of me at full speed, and for me to then hit him, flip over the bars, hit my head on the ground. It split my helmet in two, and it was a good quality specialised helmet. Other brands are available, but it was a good quality helmet. Split it down the middle, and I was still concussed, knocked out. But if I hadn't have been wearing that helmet, my head would have broke like an egg, and I'd probably be dead or horribly brain damaged, or it would have taken even longer than the 5 months it took me to rehabilitate and able to go back to work. So, what kind of cyclist are you? I've said a few things. It's not a comprehensive list, or you know, things that can happen, and I'll talk more about other things in the future, but you really have to ask yourself what it is you want from cycling. And do you just blindly follow what people say that you should do or think? Or do you think yourself what kind of cyclist you want to be? And I know that I'm repeating that over and over and over again, but when you're trying to get a point across, and you know, the psyops people who work within our country and civilization will tell you that the best way to get your message across is just to repeat it over and over again. So finally, and with feeling, what kind of cyclist do you want to be? Until next time, goodbye.